You know that specific kind of heartbreak? Not the romantic kind, but the financial one. The moment you move out of an apartment, expecting a nice chunk of cash back, your security deposit, and instead you get a list of deductions that eats up the whole thing.
Oh, absolutely. It's the classic renter's nightmare. You've packed your boxes, you're ready for the next chapter, and suddenly you're arguing over a scratch on the floorboard that you swear was there in 2019.
Exactly. And we are seeing this happen constantly, especially in a market as fast-paced and vibrant as Ho Chi Minh City. It feels like a rite of passage for expats and locals alike. But is it inevitable? Or are we just walking into these traps with our eyes closed?
It is definitely not inevitable, but it requires a shift in mindset. You have to stop thinking of yourself as a guest and start thinking like an asset manager. The rental market in Ho Chi Minh City is incredibly dynamic, but that speed often leads to sloppiness. People are so eager to get the keys and settle in that they skip the boring, bureaucratic steps that actually protect them later.
That's a great point. It's the excitement of the new. You walk into a sleek apartment in District 1 or Thao, Dien. The view is great, the AC is cold, and you just want to sign. So where does the first crack in the foundation usually appear?
It happens before you even unpack a single box. It's the skim read inspection. Most tenants do a 5-minute walkthrough. They look at the big picture. Is the bed comfy? Does the fridge work? But they miss the details. They don't document the chipped paint behind the door or the water stain on the ceiling.
Because nobody wants to be that person, right? The nitpicker pointing out every flaw while the landlord is standing there smiling. It feels awkward.
Precisely. It's a social pressure. But here's the reality. That awkwardness is free. The silence will cost you $500 later. If you don't document the condition of the apartment, specifically the existing damage, you are essentially accepting liability for it. In the eyes of the contract, if you didn't note it, you did it.
So the handover report is basically your shield.
It's your shield, your armor, and your insurance policy. And a vague report isn't enough. Writing walls are okay doesn't help. You need photos, high-resolution photos. In the digital age, there is no excuse not to have a time-stamped visual record of every corner of that unit.
Okay, so let's say we've moved in. We survived the inspection, we have the photos, but then life happens. We live there, and I think this is where the grey area comes in. What counts as normal living versus damage?
This is where things get tricky in Vietnam. There's often a disconnect between what a tenant calls wear and tear and what a landlord calls destruction. But a lot of deposit loss actually comes from pure negligence. We see tenants misusing appliances, like overloading washing machines or using the wrong cleaning chemicals on marble floors.
Or the classic, breaking a glass table and hoping no one notices until the end.
Right. But there's a more subtle mistake that is even more common, the silent treatment.
The silent treatment?
Ignoring small problems. Let's say the sink under the counter is leaking just a tiny bit. You put a bucket under it and forget about it. 6 months later, the cabinet wood is rotted through. That is no longer an accident. That is negligence. If you had reported it on day 1, the landlord pays for a $10 pipe. Because you waited, you are paying for a $500 cabinet.
That's a profound shift in perspective. It's about stewardship. Just because you don't own the bricks doesn't mean you aren't responsible for the ecosystem of the house.
Exactly. It's the difference between renting and residing. When you report issues promptly, you create a paper trail that proves you were taking care of the asset. It builds trust. And frankly, landlords in Ho Chi Minh City appreciate tenants who communicate. It shows you aren't hiding things.
It sounds like communication is the golden thread here, but let's play out the end game. The lease is up. You're leaving. Is there a final strategy to ensure that money comes back to your bank account?
Comparison. Pull out that initial handover report and the photos you took on day 1. Do your own inspection before the landlord arrives. If something is actually broken, fix it yourself before the handover. It is almost always cheaper to replace a broken light fixture yourself than to let the landlord charge you a convenience fee for doing it.
That's smart. Take control of the narrative before the final walkthrough.
And clean the place. You'd be shocked at how much psychology is involved. If an apartment smells clean and looks tidy, A landlord is subconsciously less likely to hunt for microscopic scratches. If it's a mess, they assume you treated the place poorly and will look harder for damage.
It's fascinating how much of this comes down to human psychology and relationship management rather than just legal clauses. It's about demonstrating value and respect.
It really is. The deposit isn't just money, it's a trust bond. You hand it over to say, "I will respect your property." If you can prove you did that, through documentation, communication, and maintenance, you get the bond back. If you treat the apartment like a disposable hotel room, the deposit becomes the price of admission.
That is a powerful way to put it. We often think of renting as a purely transactional, temporary state, but perhaps we should view it as a temporary guardianship. The way we treat a rented space says a lot about how we handle responsibility in general.
Absolutely. And in a city as bustling as Ho Chi Minh, having a safe, well-maintained sanctuary is worth the extra effort. Keeping your deposit is just the financial cherry on top of living well.
Well, for everyone listening, I hope this inspires you to go take some photos of your baseboards right now. It might just save you a month's rent down the line.
Better safe than broke.
Indeed. Thank you for unpacking this with us today. It's been an eye-opener.
My pleasure.
And to our listeners, good luck with your leases, and we'll catch you on the next episode.